I have confidence. I can take the jump now. I'm willing to try the complete surrender process. And that's when you get the complete result. Krishna says, Yeyata mam prapadyante. That means I reciprocate according to the degree of surrender. And according to the quality also. So if we surrender to him in a kind of neutral mood, well, then he's kind of the same way towards us. Or if we become a servant, if we dedicate ourselves, then, oh, he takes care to protect us. But if we want to become a friend and really take on his purposes as our purposes and his concerns as our concerns, you know, that's what friends do. They share everything. He also shares everything. He shares all his resources and all his power and his insight with us. You know? And then if we really want to get into it, we become like a parent, you know? Like my Catholic friends in New Jersey used to say, you know, oh, Holy Mother of God. Right? Because the mother or the father of God is a very exalted position. It means that God actually becomes like a little helpless baby, child, and we serve him in all kinds of ways. I mean, it's a very, very exalted position. And then finally, the highest relationship that we can have is a conjugal love. This is a big, big secret. This is a deep, deep mystery. And it's there in every tradition. But very few people understand it properly. And when we have a relationship like that with God, it means that we completely fall in love with him. And it's a romantic relationship. And this pleases God more than anything. So he also pleases us very deeply. And this is the most satisfying thing that the soul can experience. But it's very esoteric. The Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs, if you've ever read that in the Bible, that's what that's about. So all these things are there in the spiritual world, and they're real. We can taste them now, even in the material world, because we are spiritual by constitution. But when we chant this mantra, when we get into the communication, when we tune into the radio, and we start getting the message from God, and you know, actually God is very interested in us. He's interested in every little detail of our life. He really wants to help us. He really wants to advise us, guide us, you know, show us the way. And he's willing to get involved very deeply, very intimately in our lives. Well, we have to allow him, though. He's shy. He's not forward. He doesn't push himself on us. He only comes if he's invited. He's a real gentleman, you know. So when we invite God into our life and we trust him and we say, you know, we open up to him and we share everything about ourselves with him, there's this tendency in religion to want to kind of only share the good parts, you know. Oh God, I was so good today. I said my prayers, you know, like that. But God isn't like that. He really wants to know what's going on with us. So we can share everything with him. We can share our victories, our defeats, our certainty, our uncertainty, our trust, our distrust. We can share that all with him, and he's cool with it. You know, I mean, he's seen it all. You know, come on, I mean, he made it all, so he knows what's going on, and he's delighted actually when we invite him into our lives and trust him and say, "Oh, I want you to guide me. I want you to give me inspiration," and he will, and you'll be amazed at the things that will come to you, the incredible intelligence that he'll make available to you. You know, it's like to the point where I don't think about these seminars anymore. I used to sit down and plan everything and outline the whole thing and, you know, make sure I had all the graphics ready and all, you know, but now I'm just like, well, let Krishna figure it out. And he does, and he gives the intelligence. And the intelligence to do this teaching comes out of the relationships that I establish with people who are hungry and thirsty for this knowledge. It comes from their need. It's like, I feel I already got the benefit, you know, and although I keep expanding my service more and more, and my insight keeps expanding more and more, I basically feel like all my problems are solved. Like, I don't have to worry about myself. So my work is really based on your needs, on your desires, on the questions that you ask, on the hunger that you have, the thirst that you have for God. And that's why I always open up for questions, and I always have questions on the web. By the way, do we have any more web questions before we take a break? One more question? What's that?
Oh, I wanted to ask, how do we know what chance to choose for what we need in our lives?
Guru gives that. There's a need for personal instruction on this path. It's just like, well, again, to use the example of learning how to fly an airplane. You cannot learn it from a book. You can learn about it from a book. You can become familiar with the different terminology and the background information and stuff from a book. Or learning music. You can read a book. These are the notes, stuff like that. But to really learn music, to really learn any skill like that requires expert, personalized instruction and association. It's like it's kind of like a what do you call it? Apprenticeship. You learn by doing, but not independently, under guidance. So you approach someone who already knows, and they show you how to do it. And then all the stuff you read makes sense. It's like, oh, that's what that means. And you flash on it, and it's like, you see it in action, and it's much more meaningful than anything that you could get from a book. So the Vedas are there, but the Vedas are like for a check, to make sure that the teaching you're getting is accurate. See, we don't teach outside the tradition. We extend the tradition, but we always refer back to the tradition, because that's our standard. And it's publicly, it's published. It's available publicly. All this stuff that I'm talking about, you'll find on our website in the original Vedic literatures. It's just that we're putting it into contemporary language and making examples that people can understand, so they can get it. But the real thing comes from the association. The fact that I can talk to you with confidence, because I've experienced these things. It's not just theory. It's not just a belief. It's like your ceremonies. If you were to explain these things to other people, they'd be like, yeah, come on, And but if they go through one experience themselves with good guidance, then they'll experience all those things for themselves. And then there's no need to explain. It's like, oh yeah, it's real. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to just share that. Oh, here's an interesting question. Let me see. Whoa, wait a minute. No. It's a long question. Peter says, by sharing the negative aspect of ourself with God, this is how we overcome these negative aspects. He will free us if we approach Him honestly. So while I chant, I can think of these negative aspects? Well, the short answer is yes. And we don't hide any of ourself from God, because, well, He already knows anyway. But we can fool ourselves and be in denial about certain aspects of our personality and think that we're hiding them from God. But we don't share them, or we don't show them, or we don't ask Him. But we should ask Him. I mean, this is how I discovered my eternal relationship with God. There were certain aspects of my life that are not considered exactly traditional in the religious context. And so I was keeping these kind of hidden. Like, oh, I'm just going to chant my rounds, and I'm not really going to show these things to God. I'm just going to show the part that I think is acceptable to Him. But that wasn't enough for Him. He wanted to see these other parts of my life that I was thinking, oh, well, that's not something I can really share with God. But guess what? He's interested in everything. He wants to know all of it. So as soon as I let God into those parts of my life, then things went very quickly to full self-realization. So He'll not only help you with those negative aspects, or whatever. I mean, we think of them as negative, but actually these are parts of our personality that are part of our individuality, the way we were created by God. He has given us this personality for reasons of His own. He wants us to serve Him in a particular way that only we can do. Each one of us is a unique individual because God created us for a specific purpose that He had in mind. A specific service that He wants us to perform for Him. And so He's given us the qualities that are exactly appropriate to that service. But in the material world, because everything is reflected kind of in a distorted way in the material energy, those things show up as being immoral or irreligious or fattening or, something like that. So those very qualities that we consider like a problem or detriment or imperfection are often the very things